7-year-old S birthday cake destroyed by Emil. A single video revealed the hidden truth. Sarah stood in her kitchen, the scent of vanilla and butter creaming together with bright sprinkles in the air. It was Lily's 7th birthday, and after a year filled with hardship, losing her job and struggling to make ends meet, this day had to be special. Her heart danced with hope, buoyed by the support of her neighbors who poured their love into helping her create an unforgettable celebration. They transformed her modest home into a rainbow wonderland, bursting with colorful streamers, and the centerpiece? A magnificent rainbow cake that stood tall on the table, vibrant layers echoing the joy she wished for her daughter. As the guests arrived, laughter filled every corner. Friends brought gifts wrapped in cheerful paper, and kids ran around outside, shrieking with delight. It was magical. Sarah felt a lump in her throat, the warmth swelling in her chest. This was everything she dreamed of for Lily. But just as the fun began, the door swung open, and like a storm cloud, Grace stepped inside. Grace, her estranged mother-in-law, carried an air of authority that immediately put Sarah on edge. With her perfectly coiffed hair and pinched, disapproving expression, she was the queen of high expectations and unheard judgments. Sarah felt the tension tighten in her chest. What would Grace say about her homemade cake? Would she scoff? But as the party continued, the kids squealed, and Lily's eyes sparkled with happiness. Sarah put on her best smile, hoping to ignore the shadow Grace cast. Then all at once the good times took a sharp turn. Grace's voice, laced with condescension, broke through the joyful chaos. "Did you really make this? I thought you'd have gone for something more professional." Sarah's heart sank. Her smile faltered, and the laughter reduced to awkward chuckles as eyes darted between the two women. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The atmosphere shifted. One moment joy, the next a bubbling rage as Sarah and Grace's clash escalated. Words flew like bullets, cutting through the festive spirit. Sarah could feel the heat rising in her cheeks. "I'm doing my best here," she shouted, frustration pouring out. In an instant the room held its breath. Then it happened. Grace, overwhelmed by emotion and unwilling to recede, flung her hands in frustration, knocking the rainbow cake off the table. Time slowed as the cake hit the ground, swirls of icing and layers of hope splattering everywhere. Gasps echoed and chaos erupted, people scrambling, the vibrant symbol of Sarah's dreams literally laying shattered before her. Social media exploded in the aftermath, with video clips surfacing, and debates ignited about Grace's reckless actions. Some condemned her. Others wondered about her backstory, the loss she must carry beneath that hard exterior. As Sarah scrolled through comments, her heart wavered between sympathy and resentment. Now more than ever, with Lily looking up at her with wide, innocent eyes, Sarah faced a gut-wrenching question. Would she hold on to her anger, or find the strength to see beyond the moment? The world outside faded, leaving just her and Grace. An unexpected chance for growth and understanding hung in the air. Yet the answer felt elusive. Could this fractured family find a way to heal? As the chaos settled, a chilling anxiety gripped her. The next chapter of their lives was waiting, uncertain yet full of possibility. The room hung heavy with silence, the laughter and joy of moments ago replaced by hushed whispers and shocked expressions. Sarah knelt, staring at the crumpled, colorful cake now lying in a puddle of frosting and despair. Each sprinkle a shattered dream, and in that moment, the weight of disappointment pressed down on her shoulders like a suffocating blanket. Lily's small hands tugged at her arm. "Mommy, is it okay?" The innocence in her voice twisted a knife deep in Sarah's heart. She turned to see Lily's big eyes brimming with concern. Fighting back tears, Sarah forced a smile, desperate to protect her daughter from the chaos swirling around them. "It's just cake, sweetie. We can make another one," she said, but even to her ears, it felt like empty platitudes. Grace's face registered a spectrum of emotions, from hatred to regret, flitting across her features as she looked at the mess on the floor. An impossible tension crackled between them, one that had festered for years. Sarah had seen that look before, simmering resentment mixed with disappointment, like a storm threatening to break. Do you see what you've done? Sarah's voice trembled, betraying her resolve. This was supposed to be Lily's day and you just… Don't put this on me, Grace shot back, her voice rising. You should have had it all under control. This is your fault for not thinking ahead. Each word felt like a slap, fueling Sarah's anger. You think grand gestures are everything, don't you? Sarah snapped, the shield of her protective instincts rising. You wouldn't know the first thing about being here for her. All you do is criticize. Before Grace could retort, a nearby neighbor, Mrs. Parker, stepped in. Why don't we clean up this mess together? We can still salvage the party. Her warm smile broke through the tension like sunlight piercing dark clouds. Minnie nodded and Sarah felt a flicker of hope ignite. Thank you, Sarah replied, a shaky breath escaping as they began to gather the remnants of the colorful disaster. With every hand reaching out, the spirit of community wrapped around her, reminding her that amidst familial fractures, kindness was still fertile ground. As the guests banded together to clean, Sarah glanced at Grace, whose rigid posture had softened slightly. Was there a glimmer of empathy hidden in her gaze? Perhaps, just perhaps, the situation had created a crack in the hard exterior of bitterness that Grace had built around her heart. Days turned into weeks after that chaotic birthday party, and social media buzz faded, but for Sarah it sparked a reckoning. She spent late nights reflecting on their relationship, the years of judgment, and the hurt that lay buried underneath. A small seed of understanding began to take root within her. Let us talk, she said one evening, catching Grace off guard as she helped clean up after an uneventful dinner. Honestly, we need to stop this cycle. Can't keep going this way. Grace hesitated, her lips pursed tightly, as if grappling with years of resentment. I don't know how this isn't just about us, Sarah pressed. It's about Lily too. We can't let our issues hurt her. The air shifted, the weight of unspoken words heavy between them. Grace's eyes softened. They were two women caught at a crossroads, each yearning for something lost. Maybe that cake shattering was a sign, Grace whispered, her voice almost breaking. A chance to start fresh? To mend what's broken? Sarah's heart raced, both terrified and eager. Could she truly do this? Could they find a way to build a new relationship? With the promise of change hanging in the air like the sweet scent of vanilla, a new chapter was ready to unfold. And just as hope threatened to bloom, the doorbell rang, echoing ominously through the house. Who could it be? The uncertainty splayed before them like an open book, heavy with potential. Sarah exchanged a glance with Grace, a shared concern etching lines across their faces. The doorbell chimed again, and the sound ricocheted off the walls, settling somewhere deep in Sarah's gut. Were they truly ready for whatever awaited on the other side? Maybe it's just the delivery guy, Sarah said, forcing an attempt at lightness. But even her own words felt like fragile glass, ready to shatter. Or something worse, Grace replied, her voice trembling slightly. She ran her fingers through her hair, a nervous gesture that loosened the tight hold of anger she had maintained for so long. Gathering her courage, Sarah walked toward the door, each step echoing her indecision. She took a deep breath and opened it, revealing a tall figure shrouded in shadows. As the light from the living room poured out, it illuminated the face of Sarah's estranged sister, Rachel. The air thickened with anticipation. Hi, Rachel's voice trailed off, uncertainty etching her features. It had been years since Sarah had seen her. The last memory was tainted by harsh words and deeper wounds. The sisters had often fought, their bond fractured beyond repair. Yet here she stood, framed by the night and cloaked in unresolved history. A myriad of emotions swirled in Sarah's chest: anger, confusion, but mostly the raw ache of longing. Rachel had always been wild and free-spirited, the one who chased adventure while Sarah remained anchored to her responsibilities. What are you doing here? Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I saw the post, Rachel started, hesitating as tension hung in the air. I was nearby and thought I could stop by. I heard about the party, about the cake. Not the highlight of my weekend, Sarah replied, a bitter edge seeping into her tone. Rachel's eyes flickered with sympathy, then steeled with determination. I'm not here to bring up old wounds. I just wanted to see you, to check in. Behind Sarah, she could feel Grace stiffening beside her, ready for battle. This is not the time, Rachel. Not after everything. You think showing up just like this is okay? Let us not turn this into another fight, Rachel implored, raising her hands in mock surrender. I came because family is important and we're losing each other. In that moment, Sarah felt the tender warmth of hope sputter to life. Perhaps the shattering of the cake wasn't just about a lost dessert. It was a parable for their lives, for all that had broken and lay before them. She could see that Grace was grappling with the same sentiment, torn between her protective instincts and a growing curiosity. How can we fix what's broken? Rachel asked, her voice becoming the key to a door long slammed shut. Silence enveloped them as weighty questions lingered in the air. Sarah's heart raced, uncertainty twisting in her stomach. Was she ready to let Rachel back into her life? Could they all rebuild together? From the corner of her eye she caught Grace's wary look, swirling with distrust but also glimmers of a shared yearning. If they could work through their mess, maybe they could forge a path forward even with a divided family. As the clock on the wall ticked softly, Sarah finally opened her mouth to speak, her voice catching on the fragile hope that hovered like a wisp. We should talk. But the moment hung heavy, and before anyone could respond, the doorbell rang again, urgent and unrelenting. Sarah felt her heart plummet. Who else could come knocking on the door of a heart ready to heal? The unknown loomed in the air, fresh and daunting. In that instant all they could do was turn back to the door. What if this next visitor changed everything? With a shared glance of confusion almost palpable between them, Sarah took a step back, her hand still resting on the door. Grace responded with a quick intake of breath, her defensive posture tightening again. Who is it now? Rachel whispered, her voice barely breaking through the tension, her eyes darting back and forth between her sister and the door. I don't know, Sarah murmured, guilt tangling with her thoughts. She gripped the doorknob, her pulse racing with every tick of the wall clock. The doorbell rang again, this time accompanied by a knock, the sound sharp like a knife. What if it's not good? Grace hissed, edging slightly closer to Sarah, as if she could shield her from whatever was lurking outside. Do we really want to ignore it? Rachel asked quietly, searching Sarah's eyes for a hint of resolution. Caught in the moment, Sarah simply nodded, her body reacting before her mind could catch up. She opened the door fully, bracing herself for the unknown. A man stood there, holding a glossy envelope that seemed far too formal for the occasion. The light abruptly revealed his face, one that was familiar yet distant, sending jolts of recognition through Sarah's veins. It was their father's attorney. Mr. Adams? The man asked, glancing at Sarah, then shifting his gaze to Rachel. I'm sorry for intruding, but I have urgent business regarding your father's estate. Rachel's expression shifted from cautious to alarmed. What? What has happened? Please, may I come in? The weight of the situation sank in as Sarah exchanged a glance with Grace, whose eyes showcased her growing panic. With a silent agreement to proceed, Sarah stepped aside, allowing the lawyer to enter their home, their little sanctuary now feeling much too small. Sarah motioned toward the living room. Have a seat, she offered, her voice betraying the whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. As they sat down, the man placed the envelope on the coffee table. He looked at Sarah first, then at Rachel. I know this is a difficult time, but your father requested this information be conveyed in person, as he believed it was important for both of you to be here together. Rachel's eyebrows knitted together. Together? What are you talking about? The lawyer glanced hesitantly at both sisters, then took a deep breath. Your father has made some changes to his will, and certain decisions need to be discussed. You both have inherited everything. Everything? Sarah echoed, her heart racing for an entirely different reason now. Yes, along with some conditions. Conditions? Rachel's voice was sharp, thick with agitation. What kind of conditions? My intention today is purely to inform you, and it may require discussion, he said slowly, eyeing them both, clearly navigating a turbulent emotional landscape. There are stipulations regarding how you manage the estate together. A partnership? Are you kidding? Grace intervened, her voice heavy with disbelief. You really expect them to work together after everything that has happened? The attorney's silence hung in the air like a gunshot. I don't care about the estate, Rachel snapped, her voice raw yet determined. I want nothing to do with it if it means we have to deal with this together. But Sarah could feel the weight of reality creeping back in. There it was again, the possibility shrouded in shadows, the urge to reach out and try. Maybe this could be a chance. Her voice faltered slightly, the thought trembling on her lips. To try to understand each other? The attorney raised an eyebrow, sensing the tension that clung like fog to their conversation. There are serious implications. Time is of the essence. Just when Sarah thought they might be slowly inching toward something constructive, another knock shattered the moment, echoing through the house like a second reminder that the past wasn't done with them yet. What now? Rachel groaned, her frustration spilling over. Heart racing, Sarah looked at Grace and then back at the door. I don't know, but we have to answer. Every emotion crammed into that space between them felt like a storm ready to break. What if this new visitor carried yet another revelation, something that could change their destinies in ways they couldn't yet imagine? Taking a deep breath, Sarah steeled herself for whatever awaited beyond the door. She turned the handle, feeling the heaviness of history and future colliding. As she pulled the door open, the figure outside came into view. What were they about to uncover now? Standing there in the doorway was a girl, barely 10 years old, with curly brown hair and wide, stormy gray eyes. She clutched a tattered stuffed bear to her chest as if it were a lifeline. Just behind her, Sarah glimpsed the flash of a familiar face, her cousin, Mark, looking both apologetic and bewildered. Emma? Sarah said, recognizing her cousin's little daughter. The sight of the girl sparked a mix of emotions in her, a rush of old memories mingled with the weight of recent family tensions. Can I come in? Emma stammered, voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. Of course, sweetie, Sarah replied, her voice softer than it had been all evening. She stepped back, letting the girl enter, followed hesitantly by Mark, whose expression was strained. The heaviness in the room thickened as Emma shuffled inside, glancing around as if searching for something or someone. Is Grandma here? She asked, her voice small and fragile. Silence wrapped around them like a cold blanket. The atmosphere shifted, and Sarah could sense Rachel and Grace exchanging looks that screamed confusion and concern. Emma was too young to understand everything, but she was also a painful reminder of the family ties that had been stretched thin by recent events. Mark rubbed the back of his neck, clearly uncomfortable. I thought she might find some comfort here, he said quietly, eyes darting from Sarah to Rachel to Grace. Sarah felt pity for her cousin. Mark had always been the quiet type, but this was different. His weariness was obvious, like he was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. She gestured toward the couch, breaking the tension. Why don't you sit down, Emma? We were just talking about things. The girl perched on the edge of the couch, her stuffed bear almost slipping from her grasp. She glanced from the lawyer to Sarah, her expression uncertain. Sarah's heart twisted. This was a child caught in the chaos of adult decisions. What's going on? Emma asked, her innocence cutting through the jagged edges of the conversation. Rachel rolled her eyes. It's complicated, Emma. Adults tend to mess things up. Grace warned, her voice a low whisper, but it was too late. Emma's eyes widened as she looked from her mother to the lawyer, the tension palpable. Is it about Grandma? At that moment, the lawyer decided to break his silence. Actually, it's about your grandfather's estate and how it affects all of you, he added gently, as if nursing a wound. The mention of estate seemed to hang in the air, thickening it further. Sarah noticed Emma's grip tighten on her bear, almost as if it were an anchor in this stormy sea of words. Why does it have to affect us? We're just kids. Emma's face filled with concern. Mark quickly chimed in, Emma honey, it's just complicated. The grown-ups have to handle it. But before they could delve deeper, another knock echoed at the door. They all froze, hearts racing. Sarah exchanged glances with her sisters, dread pooling in her stomach. Is anyone else coming? Emma whispered, clearly sensing the tension. I don't know, Sarah admitted, trying to keep her voice calm, but her pulse thrummed against her skin. Maybe it's someone who can help? Mark suggested, but even he sounded doubtful. They turned as one when Sarah approached the door again. She could almost feel the weight of the room behind her, an anxious gathering of emotions and unspoken words. Taking another deep breath, she swung the door open wide, barely bracing herself for whatever awaited her. What had the next arrival prepared to bring into their chaotic world? Standing at the threshold was a tall figure, casting a long shadow across the room. The familiar outline of her uncle Adam brought both relief and a surge of anxiety. He had always been a buffer in family conflicts, but today, it felt like he might be stepping into a minefield. Is everything okay? Adam's voice was steady, but the concern etched on his face told another story. He had a habit of wanting to solve problems, but sometimes it felt like he didn't see the full picture. No, Rachel snapped, her frustration bubbling to the surface. It's not okay. Things are a mess right now. Emma huddled closer to the couch, clutching her bear tighter. Sarah could feel the tension coursing through her veins as her heart raced. Calm down, Ratch, Adam said softly, moving further inside, closing the door tightly behind him. Let us all take a breath and talk about this. Emma's here. He knelt down, making himself eye level with his niece, who looked ready to burst into tears. Uncle Adam, where's Grandma? Emma asked, her small voice like a plea filled with confusion. Everyone fell silent. The words hung in the air, like fog blocking their way. Sarah saw the flicker of something dark in Adam's eyes. He forced a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. She's resting, sweetie. There's been a lot going on, he said, offering a smile that cracked slightly. Resting? Emma echoed, a hint of fear creeping into her tone. But she promised she'd be here for my birthday. Sarah struggled with the knot in her throat. The girl was just 10, and this was meant to be a time for laughter and cake, not heavy discussions about estates and absences. But even as she thought this, she realized it was also a time for honesty, complex, albeit messy. Sometimes grown-ups have to deal with things that kids don't understand. Sarah interjected gently, trying to diffuse the situation while keeping her voice even. But we can talk about your birthday. What do you want, Emma? The little girl looked up, her stormy eyes glistening. I wanted a cake with unicorns. And everyone to sing happy birthday and Grandma. Adam swapped a glance with Mark, who looked increasingly uneasy. We'll make it happen, Emma. We will figure this all out, Adam said smoothly, but Sarah noticed the tightness in his jaw. But how? Emma's tiny voice wobbled. If Grandma doesn't come, will everyone still be here? The question pierced through the family tension. It hung there like a weight, exposing the raw wound their family had been trying to mask. Emma Honeygrace began, but she trailed off, unable to find the right words. Before anyone could respond, a loud thump resonated from the back of the house, making all of them jump. The noise felt like thunder, echoing throughout the tension-filled air. What was that? Emma cried, her bear slipping from her hands and landing on the floor. I don't know, Sarah admitted, her unease amplifying as she moved toward the sound. The noise felt ominous, like the beginnings of an avalanche. She turned to the others, uncertainty hanging on their faces. Should we check? Yes, came the unified response, but no one moved. Sarah wasn't sure what she would find, or if she really wanted to discover what brewed in the shadows of their family home. As she grasped the doorknob, a sense of foreboding flooded through her. What if this unveiled the cracks that were too big to mend? What if there was more chaos lurking, ready to erupt? Taking a deep breath, she pulled the door open wider, knowing that whatever came next would change everything. What awaited them on the other side? And could the family handle the truth it might reveal? The door creaked open and Sarah peered into the dim hallway, her heart thumping loudly in her chest. The vibe of the house shifted. A thick silence enveloped them, making every small sound seem louder. Did you hear that? Rachel whispered, her brows knitted together, eyes darting nervously toward the back of the house. Adam took a step forward, using the bravery he always seemed to muster in moments of tension. Stay close, everyone, he instructed, his deep voice attempting to remain calm, even if it was wavering slightly as they moved down the hallway. The unsettling atmosphere thickened. Each step felt deliberate, as if they were crossing a fragile bridge that could collapse at any moment. Sarah stole glances at Emma, who walked behind her, her small fingers tracing the banister as though it would shield her from whatever might lie ahead. They reached the kitchen, an area usually filled with warmth and the aroma of baked goods. But today it was just shadows and confusion. The noise had come from the back of the pantry, where a shadow flickered against the wall. Sarah approached it cautiously, each creak of the floor stirring the tension like a pot about to boil over. Suddenly, a loud crash reverberated from within the pantry, and they all jumped back. Uncle Adam, Emma squeaked, her voice tinged with fear. Stay here, Adam commanded, but Sarah could see panic in his eyes. With one more deep breath, Sarah pushed the pantry door wide open. Inside, she was met with a chaotic sight. The remnants of what might have been a huge mishap. A stack of flour bags had toppled onto the floor, creating a white cloud that hung heavily in the air. A cake tier, half decorated with vibrant colors, lay smeared on the ground, remnants of a unicorn cake. What happened here? Rachel gasped, leaning in to get a better view. That wasn't he supposed to be? Adam trailed off, his frustration becoming palpable. There was something more to this than a mere accident. Where's Grandma? Emma's voice was small, edged with worry. Adam turned abruptly to face them all, his expression suddenly grave. Emma, the words faltered. It was clear this revelation had deeper roots, something buried beneath the icing. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling. The tension in the air felt like a prelude to a storm, the family's facade threatening to crack. What are we hiding? Sarah challenged, her eyes narrowing at Adam's hesitance. We need to face whatever this is for Emma. Emma, realizing the growing atmosphere of apprehension around her, stepped closer to Sarah, seeking comfort. But I just wanted a party. I wanted Grandma. Her voice trembled and it broke Sarah's heart. The burden of truth hung thickly, and silence took over, weaving through their hesitation like an invisible thread. Together they stood, looking at the remnants of the ruined cake, a stark metaphor for the unraveling celebration ahead of them. Just then, a buzzing sound interrupted their quiet turmoil. Sarah glanced at her phone lighting up on the counter, a notification beeping insistently. Was it a message from Grandma? Or perhaps something that would provide the answers they desperately sought? As she reached for the phone, the weight of the family drama pressed down on her. What truth was about to be unveiled? What other secrets lurked just below the surface, waiting for this pivotal moment to explode into the open? The silence stretched and her heart raced. Whatever came next could change everything forever. Sarah snatched her phone, her hands trembling as the screen illuminated her face. The notification was from Grandma, a simple message with an attached video. Her heart raced as she unlocked the phone, uncertainty gnawing at her. What is it? Adam asked, glancing over her shoulder, his voice low but edged with urgency. Grandma sent a video. Sarah's fingers hovered over the play button. The kitchen felt stifling, the insecurity surrounding them almost tangible. Emma stood frozen, eyes wide with a mix of hope and fear. Play it, Rachel urged, leaning closer. With a deep breath, Sarah tapped the screen. A video began to play, showing Grandma sitting in her living room, a warm smile lighting up her face. It felt like a distant warmth that contrasted sharply with the coldness around them. Hello, my loves, Grandma said cheerfully. I just wanted to send a little reminder that I'm thinking of you. Especially today. As the video continued, the scene shifted. Grandma stood up, revealing a backdrop full of colorful balloons and a table adorned with gifts. Sarah's heart sank. She'd almost forgotten the party planned for Emma. A soft pang of guilt washed over her. Emma, sweetheart, Grandma continued. I know you're excited about your birthday, and I hope you have the best day ever. I'll be there soon. Just need a little more time. I love you all so much. But right at that moment, just out of frame, a loud crash echoed. In the background, the camera spun slightly to reveal a flash of someone moving, someone who shouldn't have been there. What was that? Rachel implored, her eyes narrowing as she detected a hint of anxiety in Grandma's otherwise cheerful demeanor. I don't know, Sarah said, pausing the video immediately. There was someone else, and why hasn't Grandma come yet? Adam clenched his jaw. This doesn't make sense. She promised she'd be here. Disappointment and concern flickered in his eyes. Suddenly, a glimmer of realization pierced through the fog of confusion. What if she's in trouble? Sarah's voice wavered, presenting a thought that cast a shadow across their faces. Trouble? What do you mean? Emma asked, her small voice trembling as she held onto Rachel's arm. I just feel like something is wrong. The house, the video, we need to find her. Sarah felt her resolve strengthen in the face of uncertainty. Emma's eyes filled with tears. But Grandma wouldn't leave us. She promised. Her little voice was filled with desperation, and it cut through Sarah like a knife. I know, sweetheart, Rachel whispered, wrapping her arms around Emma. But we can't stay here and wait. Adam nodded, determination setting in. All right. We'll look around the house. We need to check the rest of the rooms, see if there's anything else, anything that can help us understand. Sarah felt a surge of urgency mingled with anxiety. The thought of Grandma alone, possibly frightened, pushed her into action. Let us split up. Adam and I will head upstairs. Rachel, you stay with Emma and check the other rooms downstairs. If you find anything, shout. They exchanged glances, courage swirling through their uncertainty like a lifeline connecting them. As they moved, the creaking floorboards seemed to echo their fears. The house, once a haven of family memories, now seemed like a maze filled with mysteries and dread. Light flickered in and out of the hallway, reflecting the chaos unfolding in their hearts. Sarah felt the weight of the unknown pressing heavily on her chest. What could they uncover? Would they find Grandma safe? A sudden sound from the upstairs bathroom froze them all in place. What was that? Emma whispered, eyes wide with fear, and they all turned toward the staircase. In that moment they stood at a precipice, teetering on the edge of something far bigger than they could imagine. What awaited them behind that door? Would they find answers or more questions? The sound was strange, almost a whimper, and it shot through the air like an icy gust. Sarah stole a glance at Adam, who was already halfway up the stairs, determination etched on his face. Did you hear that? Emma's voice trembled, laced with fear. Yes, but let us go, Sarah said, trying to sound braver than she felt. She could sense that time was of the essence. They couldn't let fear paralyze them now. They hurried up the stairs, heartbeats echoing in their ears. The familiar wallpaper, once a comfort, now felt oppressive as they approached the bathroom door. Stay close, Adam whispered, and Sarah could feel a rush of solidarity as they stood side by side. It felt like an age since they were just siblings enjoying dinner together. As they reached the bathroom, Adam reached for the doorknob, his fingers lingering for just a moment as if he needed a second to breathe. On three, he offered, glancing at Sarah. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. He pushed the door open and it swung wide, revealing a scene that sent chill down Sarah's spine. The bathroom looked normal at first glance. A shower curtain, a small rug, and bright yellow tiles. But the mirror was fogged over, and the air felt thick with something unspoken. Hello? Adam called out, stepping cautiously into the space. Is someone in here? Sarah added, her voice unsure, wavering over the uncertainty. Nothing. But then something shifted in the corner of her vision. Barely a whisper secured her gaze. She turned and spotted a small, trembling bundle huddled against the wall. It was Buster, their dog, looking more frightened than she'd ever seen him. Buster! Emma cried, rushing forward, her earlier fears completely forgotten. Sarah followed closely, realization dawning as the dog nuzzled Emma's leg, his eyes darting to the corner of the room. What's wrong with him? Sarah asked, crouching beside Emma. Buster whimpered again, his ears flat against his head. There's something in here. Adam's voice rang out, staking every ounce of alarm as he took a step back. Sarah and Emma turned, following his gaze. In the darkened corner of the bathroom, shadows clung like secrets. Sarah squinted, trying to find what had caused the warning signs. Suddenly, her phone buzzed in her pocket. The sound was jarring, ripping through the tension like a knife. What now? Adam mumbled, looking at Sarah fiercely, an unspoken question hanging in the air. I don't know, it can't be Grandma again. Her heart raced. She pulled the phone out, eyes widening. It was another video notification from Grandma. We can't watch that now, Adam urged. But what if it holds the answer? Sarah countered, her insides twisting. They needed to know if Grandma was all right. But each second in the bathroom felt dangerously stretched, as if time was playing tricks on them. It might be important. Rachel yelled from downstairs, her voice trembling through thin air. Let us watch it, Sarah decided, quickly tapping the notification. The screen flickered to life, and a new sense of dread filled the air as the familiar frame appeared, this time showing the inside of Grandma's home. They leaned closer, eyes glued to the screen, clutching each other like lifelines in a storm. As the picture grew clearer, Sarah felt the pulse quicken in her throat. What they saw would change everything. A door creaked ominously in the video, and with it, the harsh whisper of a truth they weren't prepared for loomed ever nearer. What had Grandma gotten into? The darkness in the room felt like it was pressing in, and Sarah couldn't shake the thought, were they too late? The scene shifted again, and just then, footsteps echoed outside the bathroom door. The footsteps grew louder, a menacing echo of their mounting fears. Adam held his breath, veins running cold as a shadow stretched across the bathroom floor. Sarah's heart raced, pounding like a drum in her chest, but she knew there was no turning back now. Buster, stay close, Emma whispered, her small voice barely breaking through the tension. The dog continued to whimper, glued to the child's leg, sensing the turmoil surrounding them. Suddenly a voice cut through the air, deep and booming. Is anyone in there? The authority behind it made Sarah's skin prick, ripping away the last shreds of safety. It was the local sheriff. Please let us in. The voice insisted again. We're looking for your grandmother. In a split moment, 1,000 thoughts raced through Sarah's mind. Why would they be looking for Grandma? Swallowing back the lump in her throat, she glanced at Adam. Do we open the door? I think we have to, he replied, anxiety written all over his face. Taking another deep breath, Sarah turned the knob. The door swung open, revealing the sheriff with a grave expression etched across his face, flanked by a second officer. We need to talk to you about your grandmother, he began, his voice calm but urgent. Emma stepped back, her face tinged with confusion. Where's Grandma? The sheriff hesitated, blinking slowly before speaking. It's about your grandmother, she's been taken to the hospital. Emma gasped, a small breath escaping her. Is she okay? Sarah felt her heart plummet. What happened? She collapsed at home. We don't have all the details yet, but you need to come with us, the officer urged, leaning towards Sarah, his eyes softening ever so slightly. Moments blurred together as they all exchanged worried looks, realization dawning like a heavy fog. This was no ordinary birthday party she had wanted for Emma. It was growing into a much darker tale. As if feeling it too, Grace stepped forward, her protective instincts resurfacing. I can drive, she offered, cutting through the tension. No, I'll drive, Rachel insisted, her voice breaking through the panic. We can talk on the way. The urgency of the moment shifted, drawing the family together despite their fraught pasts. With a nod they all moved forward, their collective fear threading them closer. Emma clutched her bear tightly, her eyes glistening. They all stood at the edge of uncertainty, ready to jump into the unknown together. In the car, silence was suffocating. Each of them was lost in their thoughts until Sarah finally broke through, vulnerability lacing her words. I've been so scared. Not just for Grandma but for all of us. The gravity in her voice resonated, weighing heavily in the air. Rachel glanced at her. Feel it too. We need to be better for her, for Emma. Tears shimmered in Rachel's eyes, unhinged from the sorrow that had haunted their family for far too long. Grace added, we can't let past mistakes define us. We can be a family again. That's right, Sarah agreed, hope flickering like a candle between them. All of this chaos has brought us back together, maybe that's the silver lining. As they arrived at the hospital, tension turned to determination. Together they approached the entrance, hands intertwined. They were a new unit forged through adversity. Emma, holding tightly onto Sarah's leg, looked up with sad eyes. What if Grandma doesn't remember us? In that instant Sarah knelt, a radiant smile breaking through the shadows. She will, sweetheart. Love is stronger than anything. As they entered the hospital, the oppressive air lifted slightly. It was time to embrace the vulnerability head-on. The doctor met them, a calm presence in the storm. Your grandmother is stable, but we need to make sure she settles before any visitors. She was frightened, alone for a long time. The gravity of her absence washed over them. We have to be there for her. Whatever it takes, Rachel vowed, as they exchanged glances that promised unity. Days stretched on, filled with worry, but also with bonding moments that led to healing. They celebrated small victories. Together, calls, texts, and laughter mingled in the waiting room, drawing them closer. The shared story of the cake became a lighter memory, a lesson that loss could lead to love. In the end, they were more than just family, they were allies in the fight against darkness. As Grandma finally returned home, her familiar warmth enveloped them all. Love held the power to reconstruct their shattered dreams, transforming the lingering shadows into bright hues of hope. If they could rebuild this chaotic tapestry of family, they could conquer anything together. They had risen from the wreckage of misunderstanding, ready to embrace the beauty of renewal. Remembering the spirit of that lost birthday, Sarah, Rachel, Grace, and Emma gathered around the new kitchen table, each slice of cake an echo of their journey to new beginnings. Emma proclaimed, her innocent smile lighting their hearts. They couldn't know what lay ahead, but one thing was certain. They would face it together. And as life moved on, they understood the treasured importance of family, flawed yet beautiful, just like a cake imperfectly made and filled with love. Before you leave, this is the moment to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans know that supporting the channel can keep the magic alive.